In language learning, it's always a good idea to know more than one way to say anything. In this video, we're going to look at 3 ways to say maybe. But first, let's look at the word maybe itself and learn the correct way to use it. For one thing, it's written as one word and usually stressed on the first syllable. Maybe, maybe. I often see English learners write it as 2 words and even pronounce it as 2 words. As an adverb, usually at the beginning of a sentence, it's written as one word and stressed on the first syllable. Maybe, maybe. Maybe I'll call him tomorrow. Maybe she's sleeping. However, in answer to a question or as a one-word reaction to something, it can optionally be stressed on the second syllable to make it sound more like you're willing to consider something as a possibility, but you're still a little doubtful. So it's usually followed by but and your doubt. For instance, dude, why do you have tape over your camera? To keep the government from spying on me when I'm online? Oh, please, that's an urban legend. Maybe, but I'm not taking any chances. I don't trust them. Here, the speaker's kind of willing to admit that it could be an urban legend, but he still has his doubts.
Maybe, but Mick doesn't know the new boys.
Maybe, but I'm pretty sure we're the only ones moving around down here.
Maybe, but that's very unlikely.
Maybe, but we can't even write our Congress.
Maybe, but I'm going over them stockades.
So now that we know how to use maybe correctly, let's look at 3 different ways to say it. May. May. Let's not forget that the word maybe contains the verb may. That's because both of them have something in common. They're used to express possibilities. But in order to use them correctly, we have to talk about 2 different types of possibilities: remote possibilities and distinct possibilities. A remote possibility is basically just an idea, something that may or may not happen. For instance, let's say your sister's a teacher and summer vacation's about to start. Ah, finally, summer vacation. I have 3 months to do whatever I want. Have you made any plans? What are you going to do? No idea. Maybe I'll travel. Maybe I'll write a book. Maybe I'll go spend a week with my best friend in Portland. Here, the speaker's just throwing ideas around as random examples of the kinds of things she could do. In other words, they're all possibilities, but they're remote possibilities because until now, she hasn't given them any serious thought. She's just throwing them around randomly. A distinct possibility is also a tentative idea, but it's more likely to happen because it's been discussed or you've given it some thought or it's been tentatively scheduled, etc. For instance, let's say Billy lives in Florida, but he works as an attorney for a publishing house based out of London. They've alerted him that one of their American authors has threatened to bring a lawsuit against the company, and if so, they'll need him to come to London to work on the case with their solicitors. He hasn't had a chance to tell his wife about it when she reminds him that they have plans for the weekend. Listen. Billy, don't forget that this weekend is Sarah's birthday and she's counting on you to bring your famous spinach and artichoke dip. Well, I'll definitely make the dip, but you may have to go to the party without me. What do you mean? I may have to go to London this weekend. Apparently, an American author has threatened to sue the company, and if he does, they'll want me there. Here, the possibility is very real. The lawsuit and the trip to London have been discussed, and there's no reason to believe the lawsuit won't happen. In other words, there's a distinct possibility that Billy will have to go to London. In this context, we use may, not maybe. It would actually sound unnatural to say, maybe you'll have to go to the party without me, or maybe I'll have to go to London, here, in this context. If this is confusing to you and you need more examples or explanations, please let me know in the comments. for all we know, for all I know, for all you know. When we talked about distinct possibilities, we saw that we use may when we have at least some information about a situation. The phrase, for all we know, is the opposite. We use it when we have absolutely no information and no idea. In fact, the best way to paraphrase it is, who knows? For instance, say your son Alex is flying to France for the summer. He was supposed to call you as soon as he landed, but you haven't heard from him yet and your wife is getting nervous. God, it's already 4. Alex's flight was supposed to land 2 hours ago. Why hasn't he called? Do you think he's okay? I'm sure he's fine. For all we know, he turned his phone off on the plane and forgot to turn it back on after he landed. If we don't hear from him in an hour, I'll call the hotel and see if he checked in. Here, for all we know he turned off his phone, is exactly the same as saying, who knows, maybe he turned off his phone. We have no way of knowing. Also note that in this example, I used the pronoun we, for all we know. But you can use any noun or pronoun here. For all he knows, for all you know, for all the staff knows, etc. And in all these cases, it implies the same thing. This person or these people have no way of knowing something. So maybe blah, blah, blah.
I want to lead a country one day, for all I know.
That could be fake for all we know.
I mean, for all we know, it's from another planet and it flew here.
Our future stepmother, for all I know.
I could be getting catfished for all I know.
Who's to say? Who's to say? This is another phrase we use to present a possibility when we have absolutely no information and are just guessing. In this usage, the phrase who's to say is followed by a negative statement. For instance, using the same scenario with Alex. God, it's already 4. Alex's flight was supposed to land 2 hours ago. Why hasn't he called? You think he's okay? I'm sure he's fine. Who's to say he didn't turn off his phone on the plane and forgot to turn it back on after he landed? If we don't hear from him in an hour, I'll call the hotel and see if he checked in. As you can see, in this dialogue, we use the negative phrase, didn't turn his phone off. That means maybe he turned off his phone. Here's another example. Tommy, Christian, and Malcolm are roommates. One evening, Tommy comes charging into Malcolm's room with his eyes as big as dinner plates. Oh my God! I just walked past the bathroom and Christian's in there on the phone speaking fluent Russian. So what? Why would he hide in the bathroom to speak Russian? Beats me. Because they called him while he was in there? Who knows? Who cares? I care. Who's to say he's not a Russian spy? Oh my God, really? You've been watching too many movies. Here again, we use the negative he's not and say, who's to say he's not a Russian spy? And it means exactly the same as, for all we know, he's a Russian spy. Which also means, maybe he's a Russian spy. Who knows? See how that works? Piece of cake, right?
Who's to say I can?
Who's to say I'm not?
I mean, who's to say that John Young isn't one of these people?
Who's to say it's not going to happen again and again?
But who's to say they won't take better care of this place?
So there you have it. 3 interesting ways to talk about possibilities without having to use maybe all the time. For extra practice, write your own dialogues and post them in the comments, and I'll be happy to check them out. Thank you as always for watching, and please don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content like this.